Page 47. राधे राधे। Nitai Gunamani Baba, Nitai Gunamani, Lotus Thakur, page 61. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Page 96. प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री कृष्ण
शिव जयो जयो गौराचने आरती को
गुरुराम गंधर्वचारी हरि राधा विनोद हरि राधा गोपीनाथ की जय। नित्य लीला विष्णु विष्णु पार शोधर श्री श्रीमान भक्तवंत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला विष्णु विष्णु पार शोधर श्री श्रीमान भक्तवंत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला विष्णु विष्णु पार शोधर श्री श्रीमान भक्ति वेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला श्री श्रीमान भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। तदीय तिरुभाव महोत्सव की जय। नित्य लीला विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमान भक्ति प्रज्ञान देश गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला विष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमान भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। सप्तऋषि प्रभुपाद की जय। महाभारत चतुर्वेद महाराज की जय। सप्तम गोस्वामी सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्रीनाथ स्वामी महाराज की जय। गौरी अनंताचार्य बलदेव विद्याभूषण प्रभु की जय। श्री कृष्णनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्री हरभक्त श्री भूतप्रय की जय। श्री कृष्णदास श्रीवास गोस्वामी की जय। श्री गौरी भगवान वर्ग की जय। श्री सनातन भद्रनाथ श्री गोपाल भद्रदास शब्द गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री सुंदर दास पार्षद वृंद की जय। रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत राधाश्वास गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री नवदीप मायपुर धाम की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपी गोवर्धन जगन्नाथ श्री ब्रजमंगल की जय। श्री श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गंगा जमुना भक्ति तुलसी की जय। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। श्री कार्तिक व्रत की जय। विश्वानंद श्री राधा ठाकुर की जय। श्री राधा रामानुज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागम गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे one day.
The puja is changing, therefore no good title.
But we did Guru Puja so many times today, so it's okay. We need a chair up front for the Vaishnavas who will come forward to glorify Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Please bring the chair. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langayate Giri Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Ninatarinam. I first of all offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Parishta Vishnupad Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Sri Bhaktivedanta Narayana Swami Maharaj. And the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Parishta Vishnupad Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Sri Prabhupada, whose auspicious anniversary of his disappearance we are observing today. And also into the dust of the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev Nitya Lila Parishta Vishnupad Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad the Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, to all of our Rupananda Guru Varga, to all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, headed by our Gaudiya Sannyasigan, I offer my Dandavat Pranam. So, today, as you all know, we are observing the anniversary of the disappearance, the Tirobhat Mahamahotsava of Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Sri Prabhupada. And this morning, we received the opportunity to allow 7 or 8 Vaishnavas to speak the glories of Srila Prabhupada. And honestly, we barely scratched the surface, and if we continued digging for millions and millions of years, we would not be able to even make a very small hit into the glories of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. It is told that Anantadev, with his millions of mouths, has been endeavoring to glorify Krishna since time without beginning, and he feels that he cannot scratch the surface of Krishna's glories. But Krishna himself is scratching his head, trying to calculate and glorify his own pure devotees. And so he makes so many arrangements for the glory of his devotees. Today we were discussing online, there was an online program, about the difficulties that Srila Prabhupada had to endure. And so many times people say, oh, when devotees have difficulties, this is due to some problem or some aparat or anything like that. But we see again and again within the lives of our saints, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Ambarish Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Gajendra, and so many, that the Supreme Lord has manifested any beautiful pastime where his devotee is undergoing what appears to be difficulty, so that we can see the glory of his devotees. How without cessation, without stopping, they continue to serve despite all difficulties, despite all setbacks, despite all problems. Still, they remain one-pointed in their focus, serving the lotus feet of their Gurudev, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Sri Radha and Krishna, of Sri Harinam Prabhu. And so we see that very, very clearly in the life, in the practice of our Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Today, Shashikala Devi, she told me just after the program, she said, oh, I forgot to say one thing. Srila Prabhupada showed us through his life how to live, how to practice, and how to be. And he showed us at the end of his manifest appearance in this world how to leave. So not only how to live, but how to leave. how he was dictating Srimad Bhagavatam, always keeping his mind focused on Krishna and his service to his Gurudev. At such a time when most people would be screaming in pain, only begging for relief from pain, he's only remembering Krishna, engaging his mind, his body, his heart, and his words in serving Krishna, and engaging all others in hearing about Krishna, not only then, but for all time, because that was placed into his books. So we see how he showed us how to live by his own example as Acharya, and how to leave this world by his own example as Acharya. So he's the perfect personality who has shown us by his own example what we can emulate. He wouldn't show it to us if it wasn't possible for us. He had hope for us. Otherwise, why would he come for us? Why would he waste his time leaving Vrindavan and going to the West and all over the world, spending thousands and thousands of hours giving Harikatha, lecturing, giving inspiration, if he did not have hope for us? So we should also have hope for ourselves. That yes, it can be done. Because he has faith, it can be done. It can be done because my Guru Varga, my Gurudev has faith that it can be done. In other words, perfection can be attained. One devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, how long will it take to attain perfection? He snapped back at him, you have not been listening to my classes? He said in one moment, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. In one moment, if you surrender unto him, you can attain perfection. So this kind of hope and aspiration he had for us. So we should also have this kind of hope and aspiration for ourselves. That if we endeavor to follow, if we hold tight to the lotus feet of personalities like Srila Prabhupada, then very easily we can attain all perfection. So this morning we had 9 sannyasis with us, and of those sannyasis, only 5 were able to speak. But Maharaj also, Paramahansa Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Paramahansa Maharaj, requested that he can also speak something about Srila Prabhupada. And there are many others in this room who have been touched directly or indirectly by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Everyone who is sitting here has somehow been touched or affected. One devotee, who is now holding a child on her lap, was weeping for hours today, just remembering the glories of Srila Prabhupada. So someone has been touched, their heart has been touched, and they're crying for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So if anyone has something they would like to express in appreciation, in indebtedness for him, because we are all hopelessly indebted to him, then it would be nice if you could share, even Gurudev would say, 2 words of your appreciation for him, because you never know what you might say. Even that one word can awaken something in the heart of someone. And it might be the most unsuspecting person. None of the big sannyasi disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada thought that Abhay Babu would be the one to bring Krishna consciousness all over the world. He was the one that he was knowledgeable and they respected him, but no one thought it would be him. No one conceived of it, that personality would be that person to carry the torch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada to every corner of this world. And yet it was him. So you never know. It might be any one of you in this room who has that one thing to say, one bit of inspiration that can trigger a fire in our hearts. So now, I would like to request Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Paramahansa Maharaj, please offer your Shraddha Pushpanjali and the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
Haribol. Namo Vishnu Pada Radhikai Priyatmani Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Swamiti Nami Sri Krishna Lila Kathani Shadakshi Audharyamadhujya Ganesha Yuktam Varam Varanam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasha Namami नमोऽयं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे श्रीमूर्ते दीनतारिणे श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। बोल हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णं श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं। ॐ तत्सत्। First of all, I offer my humble obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Nityalila Vishnu Vishnupada Ashtotara Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Sri Narayana Goswami Maharaj, and also extend our pranams to my instructing spiritual master, Om Vishnupada Ashtotara Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, and also all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis assembled here. So today in the morning session, from the morning up to till 1 o'clock, we have heard the glories of Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada from the different speakers. Now we can, if we want to think that without Swami Prabhupada, then what will happen? What will happen to the present world? If no Prabhupada, then no ISKCON, no preaching. Though Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada sent some his senior disciples to the Western country for preaching, but they could not become successful. And it was totally depending on Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Nobody knows who is Prabhupada. Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is actually Prabhupada. But due to the preaching all over the world through the disciples, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj becomes the Prabhupada. Now sometimes I have seen that some clash between Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada like this. But no need, because due to the affection for Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj, and it depends on the Siddha, because even if we think our Guru Maharaj not met with Abhay Charanda in the Bangali Ghat, understand? If there is no meeting between Srila Gurudev and Abhay Charanda, I think nothing will happen. Then we cannot receive Swami Prabhupada. Because that time he was struggling for maintaining his family life. And each and every way he became totally valuable for earning the money and maintaining his family life. This is true. But when the time is, this actually depends on the time and circumstances. Yeah. Time is the most powerful thing in this world. Because that time meeting with Srila Gurudev, and that time maybe Prabhupada becomes mature. Not, but this is the beginning of the maturity. Gurudev inspired him. You are so senior, so knows so many things. So why not take sannyas? Please come. to meet his, our Gurudev, Param Gurudev Bhakti Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Till he was telling, speaking that I am unqualified, I am here, so I know nothing like this. But so Gurudev forcibly brought him and sent him unto lotus feet of Param Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Then Bhaktivedanta Keshav Goswami asked him, will you identify yourself? Can you identify yourself? Or can you qualify yourself whether you are qualified or not for taking sannyas? He is repeatedly telling, I am unqualified, I am here, so I am something like this. But when Param Gurudev told him, you are the qualified person. Because main thing till now remains preaching whole over the world. Yeah. So, by myself, Sri Gurudev, especially Param Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Swami Maharaj took sannyas, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, with another sannyas, Muni Maharaj. Yeah. The picture, I think, till now in the Mathura Math, Param Gurudev and both sides Muni Maharaj and Swami Maharaj. After that, Prabhupada came into the, Damodar temple. From that time, he was preaching tirelessly, publishing magazine, Back to Garden magazine, trying to distribute. From the morning to the afternoon, to 11 minutes, before evening and afternoon. Feeding, sometimes eating, sometimes no eating. Yeah, sometimes he become unconscious, falling on the ground. In this way, he tried to preach. Every day while he was taking prasadam, nearby afternoon time, he used to look at the Samadhi temple of Rupa Goswami Maharaj. After taking sannyas already 7 years, 8 years passed. One day, while he was honoring the prasadam during afternoon time, he looked at the Samadhi temple of Rupa Goswami Maharaj. That time he felt within his heart, as if Rupa Goswami Maharaj is instigating him. Now time is come up, he should go abroad. Preach the message of Mahaprabhu. And also, as if Rupa Goswami Maharaj remembered him, when he for the first time met with Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada in the Varanasi temple, I think this is 1923. That time, Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada told you to preach in the Western countries, and also told you to write some books. Because Swami Prabhupada has some few mottos. Books are the basis, purity the force, teaching is the essence, and utility is the principle. These 4 rules, Prabhupada sometimes used to speak in his lecture. And his preaching mission actually started from his boyhood period. He was born and brought up in vegetarian family. His father was Gaur Mohan Dey. He was Vaishnava. He taught Abhay Charan Dey playing the mridanga, kirtan, yes, just like the ceremony of harmonium, and reading books. So one day, when 5 or 6 years old, he became sick. He was admitted into hospital. When doctor came to know that this boy is vegetarian, vegetarian, no, you should take the meat and fish. Otherwise, this disease cannot be recovered from the disease. But Gaur totally ignored. Mother also ignored. That time, the small boy was become unconscious. He was on the bed in the hospital. Then his maternal uncle came with big bowl with fish and meats. Metalangan tried to feed him. But this small bird comes to put like this, moving its face. No. Then Goldman see all these things. Then he throw the balls loud. No need to feel like this, personally. If my boy died, let him die. No need to feed this meat and fish. Then every day, Goldman feeding Charanamrita to this small boy. And gradually become recover. That means this is the Krishna's desire. Krishna's desire. Then he has to spread the whole world. The first quality to become Krishna conscious is to be vegetarian. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex. Something. This is actually verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. For regulative principle already mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, after a few months, the small boy requesting his father, Father, I want to arrange a Rathayatra festival. He knows the story of the Jagannath Rathayatra festival in Jagannath Puri. That an idea came to his mind, I also arrange Rathayatra festival. He told Father, I need one chariot. I will arrange the Rathayatra festival. Okay, let us go to market. Then Goldman they took this baby to the market, but they could not find any chariot, wooden chariot, nothing else. The boy began to crying and crying. They were returning back. On the roadside, one old lady was chanting very much. Then he asked Goldman, hey, why this boy is crying? Goldman told that this boy needs one chariot, but in the market I could not find. They was crying. Oh, I have one chariot, but this is broken. So you can take and make it repair. Okay? Then Goldman they took this broken chariot and repaired this, and on this particular day, Rathayatra day, Abhay Charan they started the Rathayatra festival for the first time in his life. You know how this connection between Jagannath Dev and Prabhupada himself. When Prabhupada established ISKCON, after make some devotees, disciples, one disciple bring one small deity of Jagannath and from the shop in the America and show to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, you see what's the name of this deity? Oh, he is being the Lord of the universe, Jagannath Dev. And another 3 figures. I could not see. We go to the same shop, they can find. Then disciples ran towards this shop and found the Baladev, Subhadra and Sudarshan Chakra there. Then they brought 3 deities and handed over to that Prabhupada give them the idea how to make the chariot. And for the first time, I think San Francisco observed the first Rathayatra festival organized by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada ki. And in this small boy, 6 or 7 years like but he started kirtan with this Rathayatra, distributing prasadam. And he used to speak Harikatha, reading books. Some people coming, old ladies coming, no problem. But it is the beginning of the big project that the whole world is waiting for Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. Yeah. Then, after when he was reading Scottish Church College with Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada, that time Bhakti Siddhanta gave him hints. He should go and preach, you are educated man. First he should go to America. That idea came into his mind. But due to his family life, so much problem. But there is no connectivity between his wife and Swami Maharaj. So, you see, he wrote the manuscript of Bhagavad Gita and kept in the Almighty. But his wife showed me this. When Prabhupada searching, Bhagavad said, where is my manuscript? I am sure. What is it, money? Oh, I have purchased the tea. Oh, what do you need? Your tea or what? Tea or me? What do you like? Prabhupada asked already, Prabhupada asked him, why? Oh, I like tea. Okay, you can stay with tea, I am going out. That he left his family and all over, all you have. Now, another point is that when Prabhupada appeared on the first day of Nandotsav, next day of Janmashtami, the Lord of the universe, Krishna, appeared. On the very next day, Krishna's Commander-in-Chief, Swami Prabhupada, he appeared on the Nandotsav. Nanda Maharaj continued this festival for 1 month, giving so many things in donation to all Brahmans, Vaishnavas and peoples. And Swami Maharaj appeared on that particular day. That means, before Bhakti-Siddhanta Prabhupada sent some disciples to Western country, none have become successful. And this credit goes to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami, to become successful, to preach Mahaprabhu's mission. Because পৃথিবীতে আছে যত নগরাটি যান সর্বত্র প্রচার হইবে মনে whole over the world my name will be spread. But for whom? By whom? It totally depends on Swami Prabhupada. Because this, up to meeting with Srila Gurudev, this was his preparation now. Only 12 years he took. He going into abroad and he left his body, thus these 12 years there. In these 12 years, he changed the total setup of the family life. He made it united, the Eastern with the Western countries. Not only by outside, but changing the mood of the people. Prabhupada brought all the people in the one umbrella. That's called Krishna consciousness movement. Yeah. If you think in another way, someone coming and capturing this country, but this is actually not. People cannot, but where nobody can conquer the heart of the people. If we want to conquer the heart of the people, then this is the Krishna conscious movement is the best weapon. Yeah. So Simon becomes successful to win the heart of all the people. Not just like this, preaching, spread of the message, Bhagavad Gita, by writing books, printing books. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, he only took some few parts, Bhagavatam, 3 parts, in the Western country. But then he completed Chaitanya Charitamrita and also distributed it. Prabhupada came to know I had such little span of life, so I had to do so many jobs. He said he has to give the Diksha, and there is no need to stay, and it must boys and girls and boys stay together, no, only by the process of marriage life. Yeah, you should marry and read Prabhupada books and preach the mission all over the world. In this way, he sent some disciples to Russia, some disciples to London, some disciples to Australia. In this way, he preached the mission. And also change the Western country, the food, quality types of the food. Maximum, drink the wine, and then making meat and flesh and blah like this. The Prabhupada changed. Change the clothes. Yeah, change the sari. Everything he has changed. He taught them how to be vegetarian, how to cook, how to use his dhoti and kurta, how to use the sari. Yeah. So totally changed the social life, economic life, spiritual life, family life, everything Prabhupada had changed. Yeah. So, in the Pranamurti it is said, Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshaya Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini. Means Paschatya Desha, this is only one portion. Another portion remains Prachya and Prasad. Understand my point? Prabhupada delivered not only Western country, but the whole world. Eastern country also. তারপর পাশ্চাত্য দেশে দাঁড়িয়ে নিল কৃষ্ণ শ্রীমতে ভক্তি বেদান্ত নমস্তে সারস্বতী গৌরবাণী নির্বিশেষ শূন্যবাদী পাশ্চাত্য বিশেষ হোল ওয়ার্ল্ড পৃথিবী দেশ তারিণী and he has delivered the whole world, not like this particular place. In each and every country, the proper mission, proper temple, proper disciple and preaching is going on. Therefore, we are in so many ways indebted to Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. If Prabhupada not come, I think nobody can become successful at present to preach in the Western countries. Prabhupada made the foundation so strong. So the GBC, so the BBT Bhakti, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, and books are the basis. He has told, if you read books, my books, one day it will be effective into your heart. If you only keep the books in your house, one day it will be blasted. So in that every age, yes, so Prabhupada has captured the whole world in each and every aspect. So, in each and every way, we are to be injected to Srila Prabhupada. So, on the Rakhilan day, Viraha means, Viraha, Vishesh Raha means Milan, especially unification of Srila Prabhupada. So, we are very fortunate to stay the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev to glorify Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. So, we pray unto his lotus feet and obeisances, and so that he can bless us to each and everyone to stay united, not like faction like this. Faction is very much dangerous. This is poisonous. Yeah. Anyway, Prabhupada tells the Gurudev knows, Vancha kalpataru bhasya kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Guruji Maharaj ki, Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Thank you very much, Paramahamsa Maharaj, for sharing so many beautiful details, all of the essential glories of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Next, I would like to call on Jagannath Prabhu to please come forward after your Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurukishe He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavando Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kantarada Kantana Mustate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaniswari Vishabhagavate Devi Pranamami Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to glorify His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, on this glorious day of His disappearance. Appearance and disappearance are considered to be the same, but disappearance is more glorious than appearance, because when a saintly person, a pure devotee appeared in this world, he is not recognized with his greatness. He is acting as an ordinary human being. But when that person manifests his true qualities, then his glory is manifest, that on his disappearance, his glories are more recognized. So, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami is that kind of person. Just like Hanuman, in the beginning, Hanuman is just an ordinary monkey. He doesn't know his power. He doesn't know his potency. But later on, it was revealed to him his quality. Because Hanuman is a very powerful person in his youth. He could create disturbance. But at the proper time, when he needs his potency and power, it was revealed to him that he can fly, he can become big, he can small. So, similarly, when Prabhupada is and grihastha life, he is considered to be an ordinary householder, struggling to maintain his family. He's very educated. But when the time needs him, the world needs him, Krishna give him special mercy. Take everything away from him. And he surrendered. So Srila Prabhupada said that actually I am afraid to take sannyas. Because in Srimad Bhagavatam, when a person takes sannyas, he becomes a beggar. And Prabhupada is a businessman. To be a beggar is very difficult. So, when Prabhupada came to the West, before he came to the West, he made preparation. You know, when you are doing business, what is the most important thing when you do business? Or you sell something. So when you sell something, the most important thing is you make preparation of your presentation. So, before Prabhupada, who is the greatest salesman in Christianity? Saint Paul is the greatest salesman. So in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, who is the greatest salesman? Srila Prabhupada. He made preparation. He was doing bhajan here in Radha Damodar, doing his bhajan, meditation, preparation. Even when he was householder, he's preparing books in English. And even here in Radha Damodar, there are devotees who was telling that Prabhupada would invite them to come to Radha Damodar and they would be giving class in English. And they were wondering, why are you speaking English? And they're not familiar with English. So Prabhupada is practicing. So, when he came to the West, he's prepared. That's like a soldier, when you go to war, you have to be armed. So, when Prabhupada came, he was struggling, but later on, he became very successful. Prabhupada's achievement is predicted by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. His Mayapur temple, this branch of Gaudiya Math is called Mayapur Chandrodaya. Yeah, it is predicted by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Last month we were in Mayapur. We stayed there for 1 month, and is very impressed with what Prabhupada's branch or Sangha had achieved. It's amazing. Every day you have about 2,000 to 3,000 people doing greetings and darshans, and about a week you have about 70,000 people coming in a week. And it's expanding and expanding. And the communities, the condominiums, the devotees, the Russian community, and so many devotees from around the world, they own plot and houses. They're building a city. And it is even predicted that by Prabhupada that in the future, this Mayapur, there will be direct flight from other countries to Mayapur. This is the vision of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision is fulfilled by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's desire was fulfilled by Srila Prabhupada. And whatever Prabhupada desired is fulfilled. And Srila Prabhupada is addressed or considered to be empowered preacher of the Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya. And it has scriptural basis for this. Because in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had mentioned that this chanting of the holy name that he inaugurated, the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, will be spread all around the world in every town and village. And who did that? Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. And we are part of those, the good old days, doing traveling Sankirtan, doing Hari. So, when Prabhupada came to the West, he is favored by time. Time is Krishna. It came in a proper timing, where people are young generations of people, the hippies, they are aspiring and hungry for spirituality. Spiritual research. You know, even in my case, I was at that time I was asking so many things about the blue sky, is the existence of God, why there's death, why do we have to live and die, why there's suffering. And the young people, they would have to take drugs, LSD, marijuana, to try to experience spirituality. And actually at those times when we are taking drugs, we have actually interest in spiritual realization. So Prabhupada came in this time where there is dissatisfaction among young people. And Prabhupada presented Krishna consciousness in such a beautiful way. So he has the perfect teaching. Just proper time, proper teaching. His God brothers came to the West to preach in the order of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, but they were using Chaitanya Charitamrita as the basis of the preaching. Yeah, very high philosophy. Even now, some devotees are difficult to understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know, one sannyasi, I was sitting in the class, he speaks about Rasa Tattva, but I asked a question, it's completely different from what Gurudev is presenting. They cannot go beyond what Prabhupada said. They cannot present Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's presentation, which is delivery of Srila Gurudev's, our Gurudev, Acharya, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So, what did Prabhupada preach? He used Bhagavad Gita and basic philosophy. We are not this body. And karma, reincarnation, these are all relevant for the Western world. In India, this is not relevant anymore. One time, Madhivori asked Gurudev, Gurudev, are we going to have a Bhagavad Gita in our temple? And Gurudev said, oh, you can have Bhagavad Gita. But for us, for me, I have Bhagavad Gita when I was 5 years old. But in the West, this is very relevant because people are ignorant. They don't know that we are not this body. Everybody look at the mirror, thinking I am handsome, very beautiful, and decorating their bodies. So, Prabhupada came and telling again and again, we are in this body. It becomes a favorite teachings in our preachings. And then, Prabhupada also had another he has this tuning. He tuned the teachings. He adjusts the teachings in such a way that the audience can understand. Also, the language, the proper vocabulary that people can understand. So, at that time, he's preaching against Mayavad philosophy. At that time, many gurus came before Prabhupada and they're preaching, you are God. I am God. We are all God. We just forgot. So Prabhupada came and preached strongly against this philosophy. Okay? And he also preached against Sunyavad, Buddhism. Because this philosophy had become rampant. Nothingness. Everything is just, it came out from nothing. So Prabhupada came to defeat this kind of philosophy. So he has proper timing, proper teaching, and proper tuning. That makes him successful.
That's
Very
true.
proper. One Srila Prabhupada, that brother, was saying that, oh, if I could just have come there, I could have come there and, just preach to these hippies. They could do it. And they went there. So, but, there is what called the one. He's the one. He's the one who's going to fulfill the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Prabhupada, after his successful preaching in the West, he came to India. And he had established Mayapur temple. And when I was there, I was observing in Mayapur last month, seeing all these beautiful temples of Gaudiya branches, visiting all of them, darshan with the deities. And I realized that Srila Prabhupada's branch is just like this beautiful garden here. So we have a garden here. So garden is beautiful. But this branch, this one, is like the center of the garden. So this garden is over to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his branch is the center of the garden. So Prabhupada is self-effulgent. We cannot contest that. If the moon manifests in the sky, the stars cannot complain. There are other bright stars, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, they're beautiful. But if the moon rises, the stars cannot say, oh no. You cannot stop the self-effulgent Acharya. So, Prabhupada said, his disciples, general instructions, distribute books as many as you can. Make temples as many as you can. Make devotees as many as you can. Okay? So, Srila Prabhupada simplified also the qualification of a guru. There are many qualifications of the guru from the Shastra, but I remember one verse, one sentence, a purport, that Prabhupada said that we should take shelter of a guru who is expert, experienced, and realized. It's very simple. Expert in our own understanding, in a very simple understanding. Expert, experienced, and realized. So this kind of guru is very needed in society. So in Prabhupada's book, Nectar of Devotion, is written there, I think about 160, page 160, saying that anyone who is sincere to learn Krishna consciousness can take shelter of any branch. Is that any branch? So in other words, there are many branches. Of any branch of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And also Prabhupada, this is the last thing. Prabhupada is very expert in answering questions. One time this question was asked by a devotee, or one devotee, a guru, a sannyasi, asked this question. Are you? And that new guru sannyasi was like, and the guy couldn't eat. Because he knows that it's not true. He knows that he is not perfect. But then I recall that Prabhupada answered to this kind of question. Somebody asked Prabhupada in that book, Self-Realization. Prabhupada was asked by somebody, are you perfect? But Prabhupada answered, said, I may not be perfect, but the teaching I'm giving is perfect. That makes me perfect. Srila Prabhupada ki!
Thank you very much, Prabhupada, for your very inspiring glorification of Srila Prabhupada. When he spoke something before, I remember years before we asked to Shukavananda Prabhu, did you ever meet our Srila Prabhupada? And he said that our Srila Gurudev, way back in the day, used to send all of the devotees from Keshavji Gaudiya Math, from Mathura. That time it was difficult to travel to Vrindavan. They had to take a horse cart or anything like that. And he said every week Gurudev would tell them, you have to go to Radha Damodar to hear the classes of Swamiji. And then Shukananda Prabhu said, but we didn't like to go. We said, why? He said, because we couldn't understand one word he was saying. He would only speak in English for 2 or 3 hours, and we couldn't understand one word he was saying. So we didn't like to go, but Gurudev forced us, you have to go. He said, but now we feel so proud. He was practicing on us for what he would do in the world. So how much dedication did Srila Prabhupada have? Like you said, the preparation is so important. If you're going to sell something, you need to prepare. He was preparing diligently. So much so, he was practicing on people who didn't understand the word of English, and yet he was practicing. So next I would like to call Charu Chandrika Didi to please come forward and offer your Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada.
Whose divine disappearance day it is today. So, we've had so many beautiful, very, very sweet and deep glorifications of our beloved Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. This morning, from many Prabhupada disciples and also senior Vaishnavas. So, also this evening, spoke very, very nicely. So, where to begin? Maybe Lord is speaking something about Srila Prabhupada's preparation in coming to the West. So, I think there's one book called The Life in Preparation. So, before Srila Prabhupada came to the West, we know that he was in household life. He was very serious about his spiritual life from his childhood. So we know that he was performing Bhakti Yatra at a very young age with his little childhood friends in Calcutta. And later he met his spiritual master, Sri Vishnu Prabhupada, guru, then he received an instruction. And it was very surprising actually, the first time meeting, and his guru is telling him to preach in the English language and preach all over the world, write books in the English language. So this is not ordinary thing, and he took that instruction to heart. And he carried that instruction from that time on for many years. So, you know that he was doing his business, bengal chemicals, so on, and one time he went to Allahabad, and at that time he was living in one house, and actually our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Budhyana Keshav Swami Maharaj, came to stay with him in that house for 4 or 5 months, they said, and they had very intimate relation. They were talking about so many things, Guru Seva, how they could spread the mission of their Guru, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like this. So later, then when Srila Bhakti Budhyana Keshav Swami Maharaj established Gaudiya Vedanta Society along with Srila Prabhupada and Narayananda. Then there was one time very big assembly, and our Param Gurudev was there. He had arranged something called Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, and he was on the stage with sannyasis and senior Vaishnavas, and then he looked in the distance. One Grihastha devotee came through the back door, and he recognized him immediately, and he ushered him forward like this, and he told Gurudev to bring him forward, but that Grihastha devotee was so humble, and he very hesitatingly, he didn't want to actually come right forward to the stage. But Gurudev brought him, and he was wondering, who is this Grihastha Vaishnava that his Guru Maharaj is giving so much respect? He said, come, sit next to me on the stage. This is very unusual, because that time sannyasis would sit next to Param Gurudev on the stage, and no Grihasthas would be sitting there. So then Param Gurudev, he was giving him so much honor and respect, and Gurudev was looking at, how they had such an intimate relation. I'm wondering, who is he? So afterwards, his Guru told him, oh, he is my very near and dear godbrother, Abhaya Chalana Binda. So he is a very near and dear disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and although he's a Grihastha, he's most qualified, he's very learned, and you should take note of him, you should serve him like this. So from that time, Gurudev, he tried to serve Srila Prabhupada in so many ways, and he was washing his clothes, sometimes he was cooking for him, as he did with other senior Vaishnavas, the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was very pleased with him. So at that time, Prabhupada and Gurudev, they spoke intimately, and Prabhupada blessed Gurudev. So he said that actually you should know that we have such a near and dear relationship. Later he said we have such a near and dear relationship. Just like when I first met my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that relationship was built on spontaneous love, and in the same way, I also feel that our relationship is built on spontaneous love. So, Srila Prabhupada, he was doing his business, and like Paramahamsa Maharaj said, that his wife sold his Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was not pleased at all. And he said, "So what do you want? Do you want me or tea?" Because she sold just some tea. So then she said, "Yes, I like tea." Okay, then so Prabhupada said, "Okay, this is my ticket out." Okay. So Prabhupada left, and still he was trying to do his business, and he came to Mathura, selling his medicines like this. Gurudev caught him and said, "What are you doing here? Where are you staying? You should stay with us in our mat." And he forcibly brought him, his luggage, everything, to Shikeshri Gaudiya Mat in Mathura. So when Srila Prabhupada was staying there, then Gurudev was so happy. He said, "Oh, you should stay here forever." He was so impressed with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was very pleased hearing this. So Srila Prabhupada was staying in a very small room. We heard this morning that Srila Prabhupada said, "Oh, that very small room that he stays, it just has like one little bed and tiny place for sitting." That's where Srila Prabhupada stayed. So there he was writing articles, books like this, and Paragurudev, Srila Bhakti Maharaj would ask him to give lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam. At that time, only maybe 5 or 10 people would come to his lectures. Can you imagine? So, but some very erudite scholars would come. Some very prominent people from the Torah would come and hear his lectures. Who could imagine that at that time, that in the future, from giving classes there to 5 or 10 people, then later he would be giving classes to thousands of people in huge assemblies all over the world. So like this, from then, he was staying there for some time. Gurudev said that, he was writing so much, chanting, writing throughout the night. He would sleep maybe little in the morning. We never even saw him sleep, but all day like this he was doing this service. And he was such a good kirtaniya. He would sing very beautifully, very nice kirtans, and really from the core of his heart, and with so much bhav, like crying. So then from there, he left and he went to Radha Damodar. And we know that when he was in Radha Damodar, he sang in that small room and he was continued his writing. And all the time, he was praying. And he was praying especially to Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, to his Guru Maharaj, like this, because he so much wanted to fulfill the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the desire of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the desire of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his Guru Maharaj. So he was thinking how to do, when to do, when will I go to the West? So he was praying. And we know that one Babaji, or one person, he was hearing someone calling in the middle of the night, "Oh, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Guru Maharaj," and he was calling, praying very deeply from the core of his heart, crying and weeping and sweeping that courtyard of Rupa Goswami, this Bhajanpati and Samadhi Mandir. But this person, he didn't know, who is this? And he went to look and he saw that it was Srila Prabhupada. And later, when he went and traveled and preached all over the world, he remembered. So, and also at that time, one time during the middle of the night, he heard someone calling his name. "Oh, Abhaya Charana Vinda, oh, Abhaya Charana Vinda." And And he was 2 o'clock in the morning and thinking, who is calling me at this time? And then he got up and he was wandering around seeing, going from Samadhi Mandir to Samadhi Mandir, who is it? Who's calling my name? And then he came to his Guru Maharaj's Samadhi Mandir and he heard his Guru Maharaj say, "Oh, Abhay Chana Vinda, be fearless. Now you should go and preach all over the world as I have instructed you." So he got this instruction externally, internally, in every way. And also Rupa Goswami, in a dream, he came to him. Now, don't waste any more time. Now is the time that you should go. And at that time was a really perfect time, because it was 1965-66. What was going on in the West? There were so many hippies, and they became so disappointed with everything, or the government, everything that was going on in the West, the Vietnam War, so many things, and they were rebelling and they were searching. And Srila Prabhupada went at that time. One day he just announced, "I'm going to on Jaladuta boat from Calcutta to America." So, and who could have imagined what he did there? In only 12 years, he traveled and preached everywhere, all over the world. He established so many temples. But last thing I want to say was internally, who was he? My Gurudev said he was Manjari. He was deeply absorbed in Manjari Bal and the service of Srimati Radhika, and he engaged so many disciples in publishing his books and printing his books, and those books like Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita went all over the world with all these beautiful sweet pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna like this, which so many Western, they never could imagine before what Prabhupada was giving. So just lastly I want to say, just before he left this world, then he had a deep desire. He said, "I want to go to Govardhan, and I don't want to go by car or anything like that." He was very sick, he couldn't hardly move. And he said, "I want to go by bullock cart." So, just like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and all the bridge buses went like that, I want to go in the same way. But his disciples were like, "Srila Prabhupada, how is it possible? How can you go?" But Prabhupada said, "No, I want to go, I want to go." So at that time, somehow or another, they didn't arrange, but Gurudev said internally, he went. He went there, and by his soul, he was there eternally. He's still there. He's in Braj. He's eternally in his rooms at Bhagavad, and he's all the time inspiring us, even though we may not be direct disciples. Still, we, like Vishwamam said, or someone else said, that we wouldn't be here without the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. He is really Mahavadanyaya. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known to be Mahavadanyaya. But Gurudev said also all the Goswamis, all our acharyas in our Guru Parampara are also Mahavadanyaya. Srila Prabhupada is the most magnanimous, most merciful, and without him, where would we be? So with that, I end my speech. Please forgive me for taking so much of your time. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Rupa ki jai. Nityantai Gaur Premanandi. Vanchakapa Krishna Kumpasindu Chakatanam Bhavanyo Vaishnavyo.
Thank you, Chaitanya Didi, for speaking so many beautiful glories of Srila Prabhupada. Next, I would like to call Rohini Nanda Prabhu to please come forward, offer your Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. He did so much service, distributing books and doing dangerous service for Srila Prabhupada.
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवन प्रचर्य श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य I offer my humble obeisances to my gurus, my Siksha gurus, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada, to Srila Narayan Maharaj, to Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, Srila Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Govinda Maharaj, all the Vaishnavas, Srila Sannyasi. So, I usually never speak because I feel very inadequate to speak in front of some advanced devotees and qualified devotees. He gave me the order to do it, and this time I'm doing it out of duty because I know that Gurudev always said it's our duty to glorify. And as we heard many times, what will be from us if Srila Rupa Goswami would not have appeared? We can say the same thing about our Guru Varga and our Srila Prabhupada. We brought Bhakti Vinodara, the conclusions, like the teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to the West. And he did it on a very liberal way, very unusual way. He did many things that many times are not understood, as giving Gayatri Mantra to the ladies. And he was so liberal that we heard from Srila Bharati Maharaj, which for me was almost impossible to understand, only because he said, I believe that one devotee was doing tilak with a spit, with saliva, and Prabhupada was so liberal that he said, well, at least he's having the inclination to have tilak, so let him do that, and in the future So this proves how liberal he was. At the same time, he was so brave. I'm from Mexico. When he came first time to Mexico City, the ashram there was kind of a mess. Many devotees were brought and they didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness. Some of them still were even smoking, doing activities, But Prabhupada encouraged them all and gave so much initiation. And they, at the time of bringing beads, they didn't have any tulsi beads. So Prabhupada said, doesn't matter, get some wooden beads or whatever. And the devotees bought colorful plastic beads. And Prabhupada took those and just gave initiation, liberally giving those. So, Srila Prabhupada is an example of determination. in every sense, materially and spiritually. Even I seen a documentary of a famous person here in India, which is like a guru of success, where he glorifies Srila Prabhupada. How was he able to manage all the temples at the same time when he had the time to answer all the letters to hundreds of devotees? And he had so much detail, in his dealings with devotees that there is Mataji, I don't know who I can't remember who she was, but she told her mother that her spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, liked peach jam. You remember that? And the mother, which was not a devotee, did a peach jam for Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada took the time to write a thankful letter to that mother. And also, in every sense, Srila Prabhupada was perfect, he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada for the first time in 1922. He was initiated 11 years after. 11 years after, he established Back to Godhead. And he personally would go to distribute in the heat, in the summer, the magazines, collecting few rupees. And sometimes devotees would say, please don't go out today, it's so hot, that we give you the amount that you collect, but just stay. Prabhupada would never do that, he was going. And we know also he taught devotees to save even 1 paisa. Like in Kolkata, he would ask devotees if it was cheaper to send by mail some books or just pay the fare, Although he had so many disciples from the West that were giving money. And he was so liberal that engaged even people with criminal tendencies, everyone that knows a little bit the history of ISKCON knows the devotees going to Japan, and they were, tricking people and taking their... Japanese used to wear some in their jacket, like a diamond or something. And they were showing the book and picking with a credit card the diamonds. Prabhupada told to the main devotee that was doing that, after when he was at the time of his disappearing, he told his name. I don't want to say his name, Maharaj knows, And he said, stop your nonsense now, because now the umbrella is going to be closed. So he was giving protection. He knew that this person had criminal tendencies somehow or other, and he engaged those. And in the history of some of South Indian, the Alvars, there is a similar story. Do you remember that story? Where I think Jamunacharya, Ramanujacharya had some tips that he protected. He engaged one of them who could walk in water, and the other one could defeat anybody in any speech. Another one could open any door, any lock, or safe. So when they were challenging the pandits, the thieves will go and take money, and with that, one of them, I don't remember exactly which temple in South India was, but it's one of the Alvars that was. So, in the same mood, Srila Prabhupada engaged everyone in Krishna consciousness. And he saw even very tiny qualities, encourage everyone. You know that, for example, he would say to the devotees that you will go back to Godhead in this life, encouraging all of us. So, with this, I want to stop now. Please forgive my mistakes. I'm not so used to speak. Prabhu said I had done so much service, but that's not true, you know. This is only by the mercy of our Gurudevs that I was pulled by the Sikha, you know, and forced to go to Africa to distribute books because I was so useless I had nothing else to do. And, you know, this is only the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that engaged us all. And still up to now, you know, after so many years, his purity, his, you know, teachings are being spread all over the world, his glories. We are so lucky to have come into the shelter of our beloved Gurudev Srila Narayana Maharaj, who was one of his first Siksha disciples, and he also gave us the key of the treasure, like he said, you know, like Srila Prabhupada has given everything, yes, it is true, but without the help, you know, of our Gurudevs, our Srila Narayana Maharaj, our Srila Siddha Maharaj, and many others, would not be able to even be here probably and understand how deep his teachings are, how profound, although so he was recognized in every sense, in every level. The intellectuals around all the universities of the world, in Oxford, in Cambridge, the most important universities, they acknowledge how special the books of Srila Prabhupada were and his purports. You know, I just read one of the intellectuals of some important university was saying that he didn't know what was more glorious, his translation of the Sanskrit, which sometimes regular Sanskrit scholars do not understand because he gives hidden meanings or special meanings, but those who understand, you know, ancient Sanskrit can get the nectar from those purports, you know, from those meanings. I mean. So that's another great achievement of Srila Prabhupada, and because of him, the word Krishna is known all over the world. I was so lucky to start to buy incense sticks, agarbati, and in the back say Hare Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And I don't know why, but I started to chant Hare Krishna without knowing and collecting the packages and putting them all in my mood. And even before I met devotees at very early age, I started to chant Hare Krishna. So this is all the glory of Srila Prabhupada, His mercy.
Sharing. You know, he was just starting to get exciting. He just told, oh yeah, I went to Africa to distribute books. At that time, no one there knew anything about Krishna. And they were going and preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya, except in the African languages, Chaitanya meant Satan, the devil. And so they would chase everyone, all the devotees, out of the villages. And then they were like, how are we going to? No, they told us. They told me personally, no. What devotee was going? No, not there? He said it's not true. They told me that they had to change the name to Gauranga so that they could go and preach. He said some people made up something. He knows because he's from Africa. So gotta be careful what we repeat. But anyhow, it was quite exciting. Going to a foreign land where people do not speak your language and trying to distribute Prabhupada's books. I think it was Avadut Maharaj also. He was going. You were everywhere with Avadut Maharaj. And Rohini Nandan. Wow, very excited. So, next I would like to call on Radha Kanti Didi to please come forward and offer your Shraddha Pushpanjalis to Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna. And yeah. नमो महावदन्या कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदाय कृष्ण कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपति गोपीश गोपिका कंठ राधा कंठ नमोस्तुते प्राप्ता कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुत देवी तन्मानंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासति गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे. First of all, I would like to pay my humble obeisances to my beloved spiritual master, Nitya Leela Prastham Vishnupada Sutra Sata Shushma Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and then my most humble obeisances to our beloved Nitya Leela Prastham Om Vishnupada Sutra Shushma Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. I am actually not qualified at all to glorify Maharaj, but I will try my best. As I speak about the teachings of Swami Maharaj, that we can apply these teachings into our day-to-day spiritual life. Like we could see that he didn't meet his spiritual master that many times. And if you look at our life, we've had so much opportunity to meet and discuss and hear Harikatha from our spiritual master. And the instructions he got from his spiritual master was to go and preach all over the world, go and preach to the English-speaking Western countries. And that instruction, we can see how wholeheartedly he took it in his heart. With full determination, he followed that one instruction. Even though it took a lot of preparation from him, but he was so determined to follow the instructions of his Guru Maharaj. So the teachings we can learn from him is how our Guru Maharaj, even if he instructs us something to do, we should totally, wholeheartedly, sincerely follow it. Even though how hard it was. Like in Jaladuta, how many times he had heart attacks, but with so much deep prayers, he prayed to Krishna, he prayed to Radharani, and with that prayers, he managed to get all the way to New York, USA, yeah. So like that, we learn from his teachings that how Acharya teaches us that once you get the instructions to follow from your Guru Maharaj, how dedicated you should be. And even if it's so difficult, you have to do your prayers. Actually, with how deep prayers he did to get to USA and follow his Guru's instructions. Those prayers that he did in Jaladuta are so deep that if we apply that to our life, like even though we may, obviously Prabhupada did a huge service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Guru Maharaj. Even though in our cases maybe we may get very small instructions from our Guru Maharaj, but from that lesson we can learn that how sincerely and with dedication we follow our Guru Maharaj's instructions, because that is like Guru, to advance in our spiritual master, we should have so much nistha, Guru nistha. Following Guru's instructions is the backbone of our bhakti. Even though when he came to USA for the first year, there was no one. He was preaching for 1 whole year, but he didn't give up. Just when he thought, okay, now I've done for a whole year, let me go back to Vrindavan and do bhajan. But with Gurudev's, Krishna's miracle happened, and suddenly all that he gathered so many devotees. So similarly, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one bhajan, that even if it's so hard, for us to follow the instructions, but it should be our pleasure. A devotee says, it's my pleasure, even if I go through difficulty, to follow Gurudev's instructions, Gurudev's teachings, and follow the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So we should learn from that how much difficulty Swami Maharaj went through in the USA. At the age of 70, he was in the USA. If you just imagine like how the weather it is here in this country, what the culture is in India, and to go to a Western country at that age, in dhoti, in tilak, in kurta, it's really, really difficult. We can see how difficult it must have been for him during the winter season. In USA, it's like minus degrees, right? So how much difficulty he went through. And he was staying in a house where, like, I think Maharaj said this morning, that who was drugs, they were taking intoxications, drugs, and he went to the worst place. Actually, that's where the mercy is. Like when Jagai and Madai, when they hit Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, Nityanand Prabhu told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, hey Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have specially come here to give the mercy. And if you don't give the mercy to the lowest, then you are not giving any mercy. So similarly, like Swami Maharaj gave the mercy to the lowest of the lowest who needed the mercy the most. So the mercy, like, and now you can see how qualified these 108 temples in 10 years time, he accomplished 108 temples. And the preaching, even today, we go to any country in the world, any continent, every city or even village, there's always Hare Krishna temple. There's somewhere to get some vegetarian food. There's somewhere to go and pray to Swami Maharaj and go and pray to Radha Krishna, even now, today. So that is why, because it's his determination, his sacrifice. He did so much sacrifice. So the teaching we get from here is, what is spirituality? What is our bhajan? Our bhajan is seva vritti. Seva vritti and sacrifice. Sacrifice ourselves fully, 100%, give our life, whatever, sincerely. Even though it is very small seva, but if you do it with sincerity and dedication and have faith, unflinching faith, like he had so much unflinching faith, he knew, like, Kishore Mohan said, like, he knew what I'm giving here, people are going to get it. They accept that he had faith, he had so much hope that yes, whatever I'm giving out, that it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually doing this everything. Even now here, look, when our Gurudev went to the West, one reporter asked Gurudev and said, Gurudev, you've been spending so much money and you spend so much time and you come to the West. What are you going to achieve? And Gurudev said, even if one person I can take to Krishna consciousness, then my mission is successful. So similarly with Swami Maharaj, like he did such a huge seva, like a big mountain of sevas, I would say, that he brought so many disciples, he's got so many disciples, so many devotees. If it was not for Swami Maharaj, I think I wouldn't even be standing here. Then none of us would be here chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So we pray from the bottom of our heart to Swami Maharaj at his lotus feet, that he gives us the same strength and same determination and same sincerity in our heart, so we can proceed and further and progress in our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and spread consciousness even more into all the countries. Hare Krishna. Om Panchakalpatarubhya Sankripa Sindhupaya Vachapatikana Pavanaya Vaishnava
Thank you, Radha Didi, for sharing. Please raise your hand if you would like to come up and speak something. Anyone? I'm looking, but my vision is not as good as it used to be. You're smiling over there. That means you want to come forward and glorify Srila Prabhupada. Chalo. Manjulali. She was smiling but hiding at the same time. Come on.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I think okay. So actually I heard from Vaishnavas that to remember about Vaishnavas, to speak about them, to hear about them is a service. So praying to Srila Gurudev somehow to try to do some service to Srila Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. Actually, we heard today so many times we are completely indebted to him. Without his mercy, no one of us will be here. So actually, to have the chance to serve Vaishnavas, this is our life. To hear about them, to speak about them, to remember them, this is the treasure of our life. So I feel very fortunate to be able to be sitting here and trying to serve Vaishnavas. For me all day I was contemplating when we, in the scriptures, we hear so many things, like we need in spiritual life, we hear so many things that being said, like for example, we need to have Guru Nishta, there need to be utsaha, enthusiasm there, we need to have patience, we need to have confidence, we need to be able to hold the instructions of Guru in our head and make it our life and soul. So many instructions are there. But when they are only instructions, it's very difficult to actually try to follow. But when we see them personified, when we see those personalities who are ideals, they have these qualities they are having fully in their life, then these things become tangible. That's why we hear actually we have Grantha Bhavat and Bhakta Bhavat. But actually both are very glorious, but actually Bhakta Bhavat is much more glorious. Because in the scriptures there's many things there, but scriptures cannot punish us, cannot correct us. And also scriptures can give many things, but we cannot accept to this. But the Bhakta Bhavat is exemplifying. And this is so valuable. We hear from Gurudev, Guru Nishta is the backbone of our spiritual life. And if we want to understand what is this Guru Nishta, we can see Srila Prabhupada. Like everything he has done, the glory of Prabhupada is actually based in that Guru Nishta. How we hear today so much dedication, so much sacrifice, so much faith, everything he needs to tolerate, everything due to his devotion to his Guru, due to how much faith and how much surrender he has made, and how we hear like our life, the success of our life is Guru Seva, and how he heard the instruction from his Guru many years even before taking initiation, and he held this instruction like the most valuable thing, and he lived his life to fulfill this instruction. This is so precious for us to always remember and to see as an idea the day we can actually take the instructions of Sri Guru and make it our life will be successful. So for me, when I think in Srila Swami Prabhupada, everything in his life, like the kind of tolerance, I was hearing Gurudev speaking yesterday about Govardhan Puja, and he was saying how if we want to get the mercy, Govardhan is very merciful, but we need tolerance. You know? Without tolerance, without being humble, without being able to respect everyone and not expecting respect from anyone, we cannot get the mercy of God. We can be there close by, we can be there many things, but we cannot get the mercy. And how can we get the tolerance if we follow the example of these great personalities? They actually personify how much He tolerated for us to be sitting here, for us to come to know who is Mahaprabhu, who is Radha Krishna. They have tolerated everything just for us. So they are examples. In Srila Sanatana Goswami, he glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, Sadhu Asaru Saru Tadain Atini Chocha Takara. When I think this line, I always think in Srila Swami Prabhupada. In this verse, because we are speaking about this Grantha Bharat and Bhakta Bharat. So actually, when we speak about Bhakta Bharat, in this verse, it says Srimad Bhagavatam can make a sadhu sadhu tadayi, someone who is fully no devotion, has no any samskars, have no any understanding about the Lord, have no inclination to serve the Lord, have nothing. But Srimad Bhagavatam is so powerful that can make that person sadhu, a sadhu sadhu tadayi. And this is being fully shown in Srila Prabhupada, how he came to a country where there was no any samskar, where there was no any belief, where this tendency to enjoy was so strong, and he changed. He said, Atini Chocha Takara, Atini Chocha, means like the most fallen, who has nothing, no faith in the Lord, no nothing, no platform at all, Ucha Takara. He made them most elevated. He made them aspire for, we are sitting here in Raj. This is like, and we are speaking about Srila Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. We're speaking about the teachings of Mahaprabhu. This is the most elevated inspiration. We cannot even imagine what is the love of the Manjaris. We hear like this word so many times, Manjari Bhav, this service to Shrimad. This is the most elevated thing. So only for the next, such great personalities, Atini Chocha Takara, he can make those jivas who are fully only engrossed in material enjoyment to aspire for the most elevated, to give up everything just for something that is so elevated. We're so fortunate. Only by their mercy, only by their nishta, only by the faith, their guru, their devotion to the guru is that all of us, we are just here. So if we can, and their mercy is so much. I remember one time in 2018, when I went to Bolivia to do my visa, I actually it moved so much my heart how merciful their disposition was. Even nowadays, I brought, because I have a niece there, and I thought, okay, I want to bring something that is devotional. So I brought her this coloring book of Gurudev that has this thing to paint. And then when she opened and she was looking there. When it came to picture, she was so proud. She told me, I love him. And I was like, small girl, he doesn't know about this, he doesn't know anything, you know. And I said, how do you know him? And he said, he come to my dream. And she was fully sure who he was, you know. She was someone can say, I maybe, but she was with so much certainty, I know him, you know. So I was very impressed how we have no idea how he still is giving mercy to so many jivas in so many ways. I remember after one day I saw this small girl, and then when I was taking prasad and I was chanting Mahamantra, but very soft because I didn't want to disturb anyone. And I saw her the next day, he sing all of the songs of my brothers and sisters, and he was making sing Hare Krishna before eating prasad, you know. And she has no contact with devotees, she has no, but I feel like these prasadas are so powerful. We have no idea how much mercy they, even nowadays, how much hearts they are touching, they are transforming. That I forget, but wow, these Vaishnavas are so astonishing, their mercies. Like they say, they are oceans of mercy. They are actually oceans of mercy. And the only thing they want is that we can become servants of them. You know? They're giving everything so we can just become inclined to serve them. So I feel we are so fortunate to be able to hear about it. I remember Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj, he would always say, our biggest wealth, you know, is their teachings, their lives. You know. So I feel very, very, very fortunate to be able to be sitting with so many Vaishnavas, hearing And everyone is speaking with so much affection and with so much gratitude about such a great personality. And I pray from the core of my heart that we can all become like real servants, like in the same way like Srila Swami Prabhupada was holding the instruction of his Guru in his hand and he lived a life just to fulfill the desire of his Guru, that is the desire of Mahaprabhu, that we can also give our life to fulfill the desire of our Srila Gurudev. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mandalalini, for sharing beautiful inspiration. Did you want to speak something? Anjali Didi. 2 words.
Feel a little excited to take this one small opportunity to learn from Srila Prabhupada. I just think like you and so many who were born Krishna consciousness. My parents weren't direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, but served in his movement, so I feel like I was born and raised in Sharanagati in Canada, and my whole world, like the better part of it, is all Srila Prabhupada's mercy, directly or indirectly. Even my Shiksha Guru, one of them, Srimati Shanrani Didi, and all the Vaishnavas present in my life, everyone in this room. We're so fortunate that Prabhupada has given them all to us. They're all like his footlights and present and serving so much in this world right now. Recently I've read 2 things from Mulapurkiti Didi's book, Srila Prabhupada Friends World, that are just so astonishing to me. One was really sweet, I forget the name of the Vaishnava, but he used to attend Bon Maharaj's Institute across from Krishna Balaram here. They used to have a Sanskrit like meetup group, and they would exchange ideas on Sanskrit things they were translating. So Srila Prabhupada would attend this as he was translating and writing Srimad Bhagavatam, his purports and everything. And when he finally, the devotee who was writing this memory, he said, like they weren't so supportive of Srila Prabhupada. They said, we weren't supportive of anyone going to the Malachar countries. So they weren't so supportive of Srila Prabhupada's mission, but he would continue to go. And then one day Srila Prabhupada came and he had Srimad Bhagavatam nicely stacked, and he just finished all his translations, and he passed it around. He said, I've just finished my Srimad Bhagavatam, so I'm asking you all humbly, please bless the Srimad Bhagavatam. So they all agreed, and he passed it around, and they all blessed Srimad Bhagavatam. And at the very end he said, now, someone must accompany Srimad Bhagavatam to the West. So I'm humbly asking that you all give me your blessing to go with Srimad Bhagavatam to the West. And they all finally, so we gave our blessings at that time. And then I was just reading Emma Harinam Disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, and Diksha Disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. So this book, I of course had to run to the part of Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj and read his memories, and he has so many, as he served so many Vaishnavas, and of course, he spoke a little about Srila Prabhupada. But at the very end, I found it really astonishing and amazing that Srila Prabhupada also said to him, at the end, he said, one of his last visits, Srila Prabhupada came to Mayapur and he visited him, as he visited many times before, both the Chutananda or something, it says. And he said, I've done so much and I've brought so many. Just like he asked our Srila Gurudev, he also asked Srila Bharti Maharaj, if you can in the future, please help them learn Vaishnava culture and etiquette further. So I just find it so astonishing, Prabhupada's vision. Even a few years ago, I was always just like, wow, he really sent Srila Gurudev, like he thought of everything, And then he sent Srila Bharti Maharaj, and for some of us, this was such an incredible blessing. No one else we could have faith in to accept. We needed that. And, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Just setting the timer for myself. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So today I'm remembering our Srila Gurudev and how he would remember and glorify our Srila Prabhupada. Two important points. One, in Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra, Srila Gurudev would give emphasis to the words Gauravani Pracharini. The other important point, Srila Gurudev would again and again emphatically declare who Prabhupada is and what he came to give, and that this is the highest glorification of Prabhupada. And the other thing I wanted to share was just a few anecdotes from Srila Prabhupada's life, things he told about himself. So first, because it leads to the end of what Srila Gurudev had told, I want to share what Srila Prabhupada himself told about himself. He was always very, I want to use the word proud, but not in a prideful way. But he felt it to be significant that in the year of his birth, 1896, that was the first time the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone overseas. The book of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Chaitanya, His Life and Precepts, had entered into the Macmillan University in Toronto, in Canada, in 1896. And Srila Prabhupada felt this to be significant. He also would speak about his own father, who he said is a pure devotee of the Lord. So Sri Gaur Mohan, the father of Abhay Charan, our Srila Prabhupada, would invite all sadhus to come to his home. Anyone who was a sadhu. And he would present to them whatever they required. But he had a condition. Whoever would come, he would give them any donation, any dakshina, anything. But he would request one thing from them. Please pray for my son, that he will become a pure devotee of Radharani. This was the prayer of Gaur Mohan. And Srila Prabhupada would always remember this. He didn't want his son to become expert in business or expert in material affairs. He wanted him to be expert in kirtan, to be able to play mridanga, harmonium, kartas, and expert in bhakti. What a great father. And our Srila Prabhupada, from a very young age, he showed quite a keen interest in a very particular festival which he spread throughout the world. That festival is not about pulling ropes. That festival is not about carrying Dwarkadish. That festival is about bringing Krishna to Vrindavan on the chariot of one's heart with the ropes of one's love and affection. And Srila Prabhupada was well versed in the deeper meanings of this festival, Sri Ratha Yatra Maha Mahotsava. And this is the festival that he established all over the world. Srila Prabhupada every single day before speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam would sing one particular bhajan. Does anyone know what it is? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Before the devotees knew what this was, the song was circulated throughout all of ISKCON. But they didn't know the tune, so they made up tunes. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Madhava Girivaradhari. Like they were singing, but he said, do you know this song, Jai Radha Madhava? They were like, no. And then he started singing it. In his first commentary in this Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, what did he tell? So this Krishna consciousness movement is how to become one of the Gopi-jan. Who understood what Gopi-jan meant at the time? But by the mercy of Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada, we have received some understanding. Back in the day, when I was little, everyone knew. Everyone throughout all of ISKCON knew. It was common knowledge that, and I'm going to quote, actually we all want to be gopis. Everyone knew it. I knew it. I was 3 years old. I was 4 years old. We all knew it. And then over time it became covered. And then the word gopi became a bad word. But at the time of Prabhupada, we all knew it. It was common knowledge that that was our goal and aspiration. Our Krishna consciousness movement is how to become one of the gopis of Vrindavan. So now, I wanted to share what Srila Prabhupada was begging for, because he was quite poor when he was living at Radha Damodar. Gurudev said he had one chadar with holes in it, and he would throw that on the floor, and they would both sit on it. They would cook together, they would discuss together, they would do kirtan together. Srila Gurudev specifically mentioned 2 kirtans that Prabhupada would always be so deeply absorbed in, that he would sing with tears in his eyes in such a pathetic tune. One, Shad Goswami Ashtakam. I remember in Barshana one year, Srila Gurudev on this day was asking the devotees, what is that tune? What is that tune? They're like, Ande Rupas. And Gurudev was like, no. He wanted that tune. He Radhe Brajadevi ke chalalite He Nanda Suno Kutah Shri Govardhana Kalpa Pada Patale Kalindi Kanye Kutah Goshanta Biti Sarvato Brajapure Kedar Mahavivalo Mande Rupa Sanatanur Bhujgo Shri Jiva Gopalako. Gurudev said he would weep while singing this. And the other one Srila Gurudev mentioned, people were contesting it. Oh, we have no recording of Prabhupada. I said it was recorded in the heart of my Gurudev. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Se Mor Sampada, Se Mor Bhajana Pujan. You can read the words of Gurudev. He tells it directly that Prabhupada loved to sing this bhajan and loved to hear it. And Gurudev arranged for Srila Prabhupada to hear it on the disappearance, just before his disappearance from this world. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Se Mor Sampada. Srila Gurudev told him, now we're going to sing this. And he said, Shri Rupa Manjari Amare Sarvasva, is our everything. And then he told Sheshaya Prabhu, you sing it softly into the ear of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, our Srila Prabhupada. So, Srila Prabhupada was living at Radha Damodar, and what was he begging for? He wasn't begging for atta and rice and dal. They said he was begging from door to door for something much more important. Pencils and paper, so that he could write his transcripts. He was spending so much time, as Prabhuji told previously, preparing for this amazing sales ploy that he had. He had to network market the holy name. He is the personification of Nityananda Shakti, as Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj told, that it can be nothing else. He is Shakti Avesh of Nityananda Prabhu. So he was network marketing the holy name of Krishna everywhere. Srila Prabhupada in Mathura was going from person to person randomly in the streets. Do you know anyone who lives in America? Do you know anyone in America? From one person to the next to the next. No. One person he met, an elderly gentleman, Mr. Agrawal. He said, oh, my son lives there. Oh, then Prabhupada began to pester this man. Give me connection with your son. I need sponsorship to go to America. Again and again and again, relentless. He needed to go. So finally an arrangement was made. Mr. Agrawal in America arranged for sponsorship, as he had done for many other people from India previously. But although he had sponsorship, it was a bit difficult for him. Why? He was 70 years old. He wanted to get passage on the ship. But they said, no, you're too old, your health is not that good, you will die, you won't even make it there. So what did he do? He was relentless. He camped out in front of that shipyard at their offices and wouldn't leave. It was a minimum of 2 weeks before Srimati Morarji said, okay. They gave him the captain's quarters on the boat. And there he celebrated Janmashtami, feeling deep separation from Vrindavan. We all heard about what he endured on this boat ride. We used to live in the Fiji Islands. To get from the main island to the island we lived on was a 24-hour cargo ship ride. We were in our early 20s, and from that one 24-hour ride, we were dizzy for 1 week, in the age of 25. It was 35 days in rough waters that he took this Jaladuta ship. One thing Prabhupada writes, he arranged a shipment of books to arrive on the boat. So they had to go around from the east side. They came around to the Mumbai side, Bombay, and at that time he witnessed as the books were being loaded onto the ship from that side. Imagine his excitement that the boxes of books that he was bringing were arriving on the ship. So, finally, after quite a heavy endurance on this ship, he arrived in Boston Harbor. Previously we heard that he was so hopeful. The name of Krishna will be spread far and wide. The name of Gauranga will go everywhere by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. He arrives in Boston Harbor and you see a very big shift in his poetry. Uh-oh. Oh my Lord, why have you brought me to this horrible, terrible place? No one here has any interest in God consciousness. It's full of atheism and voidism. How will I be able to spread the message of Vasudeva, the message of Krishna here? You've given me this name, Bhakti Vedanta. In fact, as a householder, he was so erudite and knowledgeable. All of the Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Math, they gave him the title Bhakti Vedanta Prabhu. So this is what they called him. His name was Abhay Charanaravinda Prabhu, but they gave him the name Bhakti Vedanta Prabhu, and that's how they referred to him, because of his bhakti and his knowledge of Vedanta. But he felt himself completely inadequate. I have no bhakti and I have no knowledge, no Vedanta. But somehow I've been given this name. So if you want to make this name a reality, then please help me in this effort. He said, I am just like a puppet in your hands, O Lord. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance, make me dance, O Lord, as you like. Complete surrender, complete taking of shelter. And he said, he signed it, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. The most unfortunate, insignificant beggar. What kind of humility does he have? Unprecedented humility. And at the same time, zero compromise. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, what is Trinadapi Sunichena? What is this? It means to be humble to Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. Not to materialists, not to atheists, not to karmis or mayavadis or any kind of nonsense person. He had complete humility and dedication at the lotus feet of his Gurudev, Gauranga and Radha and Krishna, Sri Harinam Prabhu. But complete lack of compromise with any mundane conception whatsoever. So he arrived in Boston Harbor. He had to wait at a bus stop for many, many hours by himself. This was the end of September, cold in Boston. And then he had to take an overnight bus to Butler, Pennsylvania. He arrived at the house of Mr. Agrawal. At that time, he was able to bathe, cook something, take some rest. The next day, it's not like he lived in their house comfortably. The very next day, they placed him in a youth hostel at the YMCA. So YMCA Ki Jai, they hosted Srila Prabhupada. And from there, he was doing so much preaching. Can you imagine at the age of 70 years old being placed in a small little room with a bunch of kids with bunk beds? YMCA. And then he would go every day to cook at the house of Mr. Agrawal, who then begged him, my wife is American, she doesn't know how to make roti, she doesn't know how to make sabji or dal or rice or anything. Please also cook enough for me. I miss my home cooking. So he would come, there was meat in the fridge and everything else, but he ignored it. For Seva, he was willing to do anything and everything. He told Gurudev that I have determined, just like his Guru Maharaj determined, the same thing. If it is necessary to serve meat and alcohol so that people will come and hear the message of Krishna consciousness and chant Hare Krishna, then I am willing to do so. He didn't need to do it, but he was willing to do so. So every day he would go, he would cook, he would offer, and also give it to Mr. Agrawal. So he maintained this mood. We must understand that he was serving everyone. He was serving Krishna and serving thousands of babies. What did they know? Shyamarani Didi didn't know how to tie a sari. No one knew how to do anything. No one even knew how to pronounce a pranam mantra. He had to give everything from scratch. Everything. He taught them everything. And they were dedicated. They. Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Padmanabha Maharaj. So many others of that generation. Srila Gurudev said that he extracted an unprecedented amount of nishta not seen even since the time of Shankaracharya. We cannot imagine, except I can imagine, because my father placed me in Gurukul when I was 5 years old. My father decided not to have children until he saw Paramananda from Gitanagari place his own child at the feet of Srila Prabhupada. And then my father thought, well, there's a reason to have a child, so I could place it at the feet of Prabhupada. This was his move. And Srila Prabhupada told in Dallas, the test of everyone's education is that if they see a sadhu, they will fall flat like a stick before him. This is the test of all education. So now I'm coming to the words of Srila Gurudev. He would always quote the pranam mantra of Srila Gurudev. We heard about Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi. But actually, the important part, Gauravani Pracharini. What is Gauravani? Devotees would say, oh, that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke. Yeah, what did he say? Oh, he said this, he said that. Gurudev was never satisfied unless we quoted one particular shloka. And if we didn't quote it, Gurudev would not be satisfied. Does anyone know what it is? Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasanam Brajabadu Vargenaya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatradaro Napparaham. This is the teaching of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and there is nothing beyond it. What is that? The supreme worshipable personality is Krishna in Vrindavan, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. And because he is residing in Vrindavan, Vrindavan is the most worshipable place, not different from Krishna. Ramya Kachit Upasana. The topmost method of worship, which is the most pleasing to Krishna, which he himself says, I can never repay you, is that of the Vrajavadhus, the young married gopis of Braj, how they serve Krishna. Brajavadu Bhargenaya Kalpita. And the evidence for this is given in the topmost scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the topmost spotless evidence. And the topmost goal, the topmost aspiration is Prema. Prema Pumarto Mahan. This is the opinion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there is nothing beyond it. So says Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And now coming to the last point. Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Narayana Swami Maharaj had heard many devotees telling that, oh, Srila Prabhupada is only a cowherd boy. And Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj said, I cannot accept this. You may believe whatever you want, but you cannot convince me otherwise. He said, it pains my heart. On multiple occasions, Gurudev said, it causes pain to my heart to hear this, because I know who he is. I know that he is a true Rupanuga Vaishnava, in every sense of the term. It is true that all rasas are contained within Madhurya Rasa, but my Gurudev is not wrong. My Gurudev gave him sannyas. Gopi Bhav mantra. Is my Gurudev mistaken? Did he make a mistake? How can Gurudev accept that his Gurudev is wrong and makes mistakes? Never and never. Not only that, but Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada requested Gurudev, taking his hands in his hands, you must help my disciples and you must do my samadhi with your own hands. Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Narayana Swami Maharaj gave the samadhi of Srila Prabhupada, and there he wrote the Manjari Bhav mantras on his body. Srila Gurudev told that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada desired to go to Govardhan and Radha Kund. That is our topmost place of Rupanuga Vaishnava. When Srila Gurudev first went to 22nd Avenue, Matchless Gifts, there Gurudev was speaking about the glories of Swamiji. And he began crying and crying so much that for 2 minutes he could not speak, and he was only wiping his tears. And then he began to speak. So I think that Srimati Radhika has called her maidservant Nayana Mani Manjari. That is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. I have so many jewels to give. You should give these to your maidservant to spread throughout the world. That is our Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And then Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami tells very clearly in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, not any Sakha, not even Priyanarma Sakha, can distribute the moods of the gopis, can broadcast the moods of the gopis. What did our Srila Prabhupada do? He broadcast the moods of the gopis all over the world. Is Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami wrong? No. Our Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has distributed the moods of the gopis through Krishna book, through Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, through Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, through Hare Krishna Mahamantra, through so many mediums, through nectar of devotion, through nectar of instruction, everywhere, all over the world. And Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj told that his highest glorification is that he is a true Rupanuga Vaishnava. He is serving Radha and Krishna. Nikunja yuno ratike siddhyai yayali bhiryukti rapekshaniya tatrati laksha adivallabhasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. Why should all of our Guru Varga be serving Radha and Krishna in the Nikunjas and not our Swamiji? Gurudev was very powerful and clear on this point. He said that he came to give what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. Not only Harinam Sankirtan, which is the external reason for his appearance. It is told directly in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. But what did he come to give? Rupa Goswami tells, Anarpita Charinchira Kurunaya Tirnakalo Samarpayitum Unatojvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purta Sundara Jyoti Kadam Sandipita Sada Hridayam Kandare Skuratu Varsachinandana. What did he come to give? What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, what Rupa Goswami came to give, that is Unata Ujjvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam. This is what he came to give. Srila Gurudev said, but he had to spend all of his time cutting jungles. But if you were to hear the conversation of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, they asked Prabhupada, what did you talk about? He said it was so high that if you heard it, you would faint. We cannot imagine what our Gurudev was discussing with him, what Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj is discussing with him, where his heart is. He is a true Rupanuga Vaishnava, Seva Sadhaka Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatrahi, giving what Rupa Goswami came to give to this world. So on this day, the day of the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, which from my earliest memory was the most devastating day of my life, witnessing my parents who were invincible. When you're 3 years old, everyone is invincible. Everyone who's over 20, they're adults. But they became dysfunctional. They couldn't think, they couldn't breathe, they couldn't do anything. They were weeping, crying, and fainting. I asked my mother what happened. She was crying and she couldn't speak. For a 3-year-old, this is quite traumatic. But I can't imagine the trauma that the disciples of Srila Prabhupada experienced on this day. Because he was, and will always be their everything. And then I asked my father, what happened? And he was engaged in kitchen seva. But he stopped to speak with me. He said, Prabhupada left. I said, yeah. He's always coming to Los Angeles and leaving because Los Angeles is his world headquarters. He left. When is he coming back? He said, he's not coming back. I said, I don't understand. He said, he left, he's not coming back. Seeing their love, their dedication, their surrender, their service, how they gave every drop of their youthful energy. All of these young people with so much energy and enthusiasm. Prabhupada said, my Guru Maharaj sent you. Previously you were all devotees. But yet their mood was, I am nothing, I was a worm in stool, I am useless in the lowest of the low, and I am the recipient of his mercy. They dedicated everything in the service of Srila Prabhupada. Everything. I witnessed it. And I see that their dedication and their service is my ideal. I have not seen practically anyone of Gurudev's disciples like this. But I have witnessed Srila Prabhupada's disciples. I lived in it, I witnessed it, I saw it. the energy, the enthusiasm, the dedication, and no matter how fallen so many became, they have not given up on their loyalty and love at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada's mood was, I will come for you and I will save you. One devotee, he left Krishna consciousness completely. He was in the material world. His wife didn't even know he was a devotee before. But at the time of his death, he was calling out, Srila Prabhupada, you came for me. Srila Prabhupada, I can't believe you came for me. He left. His wife was like, what? Who is this? She asked his mother, who is Srila Prabhupada? She said, oh, he used to be a Hare Krishna a long time ago. And that was his guru. She went and told the devotees. He came for that person. So today we sang that bhajan. Keshe Gauri, Narottam Das Thakur saying that you will take me and pull me by my hair out of this material world. Srila Prabhupada is this kind of merciful personality, the embodiment of the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and the carrier of the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So on this day I pray in the dust of his lotus feet that he can grant me even 1 ounce of the dedication that he has extracted from his disciples, and that one day I might also be able to become like him, like he hopes, that we can all become like him and completely dedicate in service to Guru, to Nitai Gauranga and Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Tadiya Tirobha Maha Mahotsava ki Jai. I went way over time, please forgive me. I have so much more, but I'm sure Bhaktivedanta Maharaj and so many can speak for hours and hours and hours or years. So we should remember that the glories of Srila Prabhupada must always be remembered, spoken, and shared more and more. Those who don't know about him or don't have appreciation for him must be given that seed of glorification and appreciation for him, because he is no ordinary personality. He is a tremendously massive, important personality. Srila Gurudev was asked, who is Prabhupada in Gaur Leela? He said, isn't it obvious? This service that he is doing, he is that person who has fulfilled the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Bhakti Vinod Thakur. That is his form in Gaur Leela eternally. And Srila Prabhupada himself said, it is the eternal duty of the spiritual master to always save the fallen conditioned souls. So that means Srila Prabhupada in one realm or another is wandering here and there, chanting Hare Krishna and inspiring the worms. He told Gurudev, he said, when I opened my eyes at Tompkins Square Park, I saw the most amazing sight. Normally you see worms entering into stool, but I saw the worms coming out, becoming devotees, putting their arms in the air and chanting Jai Sachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Hare Krishna. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
समस्त गौर भक्त की जय, नाथ की आनंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि।